People started screaming in the suburbs, back to Africa with them, I said, back to Africa with who? I ain't never been to Africa. You big dummy.
How do you make $4 million per year and die penniless? Red Foxx starred in a hit TV show. He had comedy specials, sold albums, published books, performed live, and he still died broke. The star from Sanford and Son was living the good life, and it's his lavish spending that brought Foxx to heel. In an interview from 1983, a reporter asked Red Foxx what advice he would give an up-and-coming comic who made a lot of money.
Hey, save your money. If you're gonna get there, save your money and try to do something with it. Don't mess it up like I did.
This is a strange response. Don't get me wrong, it's good advice, but it's coming from a man who liked to joke about wearing $750 suits and alligator shoes.
What the hell I look like standing in the jungle with a $750 mohair suit and some alligator shoes?
As a successful comic, he lived in a gated community. He was a big earner and a big spender. Foxx was frivolous with his money. He drank, he smoked, he cursed, and he never apologized. But it seems like Red Foxx had regrets. The young boy from St. Louis, Missouri never learned to control his spending. Growing up in the 1920s, John Elroy Sanford didn't have a lot. Little Johnny came from a poor family. His father, Fred Sanford, was an electrician and a car mechanic. His half-Seminole mother was a housewife. At first, things were going well. There wasn't a lot of money, but the family managed to get by. However, sometime in the 1930s, Fred left his family. His mother, Mary, was now supposed to take care of John and his older brother, Fred Sanford Jr. Seeing his mother struggle to make ends meet, realizing that his father was a coward who shied away from responsibility, and with a burning desire to make it in Hollywood, John Sanford got a job immediately after high school. His knack for telling jokes became apparent when he appeared on the Amateur Hour during the Major Bowes radio show on July 27, 1939. From his first performance, John knew he would become a star. While working as a dishwasher, he became close friends with a guy named Malcolm Little, whom we today know as Malcolm X. And it was during this tough, labor-intensive job as a dishwasher that John got the nickname Red. He had reddish hair, and everyone called him Chicago Red. Malcolm, on the other hand, was Detroit Red. That's how their colleagues told them apart. While they were working, Red Foxx would crack everyone up. The jokes never stopped. Tears were rolling down their face as they were scrubbing the grease off the casserole pan. In his autobiography, Malcolm said that Foxx was the funniest dishwasher on earth. Realizing that he had a gift for telling jokes, Red Foxx decided to try his act at a nightclub. He wasn't a clean comic, and he had the guts to say what everyone else was afraid to. In the late 40s and early 50s, Red Foxx was performing in nightclubs all across the East Coast. He was good. It wasn't long before he got the attention of Dinah Washington. This female singer begged him to come to Los Angeles so her producer, Dootsy Williams from Dutone Records, could see his unusual act. His breakthrough came at the Brass Rail nightclub in Los Angeles. Williams loved this new comic, and before long, he was performing on the Vegas Strip. Speaking of which, Red Foxx was one of the first black comedians to perform for white audiences. Dutone Records and Red Foxx signed a record deal, and soon everyone across the country was listening to Red Foxx's comedy albums. After 20 years of doing stand-up and landing minor acting roles here and there, Red Foxx got his big break. Modeled after a famous British show by the name of Steptoe and Son, Red Foxx created Sanford and Son. The show aired on NBC on January 14, 1972. For 6 years, everyone across America watched Sanford and Son. You would hear children on the streets saying Sanford's famous "You big dummy" line.
You big dummy!
It looked pretty obvious that Red Foxx was a big success. But looks can be deceiving. That little boy from St. Louis, Missouri, never learned to deal with abundance. Red Foxx was taught that scarcity is the norm, so when he started earning millions, he started to live like a king. He was afraid that he'd be back into poverty. He bought expensive suits and handmade leather shoes, owned and drove sports cars, including an original Ford Model T, and was a big fan of jewelry. Foxx also gave money to everyone he knew, and the girls liked him because he was never stingy. Red enjoyed playing the role of a provider. This tactic worked extremely well for Sanford. He got married in 1948 to Evelyn Killebrew. However, the marriage only lasted 4 years. The couple filed for divorce. Foxx waited for 5 years and decided to give marriage another chance. but this time with a performer. On July 5, 1956, Red Foxx and Betty Jean Harris got married after meeting at a nightclub. Betty was a dancer the night Red Foxx was supposed to perform. They hit it off, and a few years later, the couple tied the knot. Betty agreed to take his last name and become a full-time housewife, while Red Foxx agreed to take care of Betty and 9-year-old Debraka, her daughter. As time went by, Betty ditched her housewife job and began successfully running the entire Red Foxx enterprise. While Fox was touring the nation, she was responsible for the record stores that were part of Red Foxx Enterprises. Money was pouring in. The records were selling. Red's tours were booked end to end. Nothing could go wrong. In 1974, after being married for 18 years, Betty found out that her husband cheated on her. The couple filed for divorce in May of the same year. Betty had to return the $110,000 she stole from Red before the wedding. While waiting for the divorce, Fox had to pay $150,000, $936,000 in today's money. Every month they waited, Betty would get $10,000 for their separation. The worst part of the divorce is that Debraka, his adoptive daughter, liked Red so much that she invited him to her wedding in 1975. Seeing how he had just separated from Betty, Fox never showed up. Less than 2 years after his second marriage had ended, 54-year-old Red found Joy Yun Chi Chung, a Korean immigrant. They got married on New Year's Eve, 1976, and stayed married for almost 3 years. Fox filed for divorce in '79, and Joy charged her husband with cruelty in the divorce. While they were waiting for the papers, Fox had to pay Joy $2,500 per month. After paying $300,000, $1.3 million adjusted for inflation, for the divorce settlement, Red Foxx was done with marriages. He even told Jet magazine, "I've been married 3 times and I'm out. I'd rather have kids because when I give up all this money on divorce, it should go to the children and not some guy." But in 1983, the comedian filed for bankruptcy. The IRS found out that for 3 years, Red Foxx hasn't been paying any taxes. The debt he owed to the IRS came up to $755,166. Being completely wiped out after the divorce, Fox couldn't repay the debt. The IRS seized his home and all of his belongings. They took his Ford Model T, the 1983 Zimmer, an Italian Vespa, and a Panther J72 from 1975. This wasn't enough to cover the taxes, which grew to $996,630, around $2.47 million in today's money. During the raid, Fox said that he was treated inhumanely. They took everything from him: cash, cars, guns, and even snatched his ID necklace. The only thing they left was his couch. While he was running around like a headless chicken, putting out fires everywhere, one woman was with him through it all. Keiho Cho, a lady from South Korea, helped him get through the IRS tax fiasco, and he married her in July 1991. They had a small ceremony, and Fox promised to give her 75 cents out of every dollar he would make. The comedian tried hard to make it work. He teamed up with Eddie Murphy on a show called The Royal Family, hoping to earn back the $3.6 million he owed the IRS. On October 11, 1991, Red Foxx suffered a heart attack on the set of The Royal Family, just 3 months after his wedding.
So Red Foxx actually died on a show I was producing.
During an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, Eddie Murphy, the producer of The Royal Family, said that no one believed Fox when he complained about chest pains. You see, one of the running gags on Sanford and Son was Sanford's heart attack. Red Foxx got so good at pretending that when it actually happened on the set of The Royal Family, the interviewer from ET thought he was making a joke. Unfortunately, they had to rush Red to the hospital, where he passed away. Eddie Murphy had to cover the cost of Red's funeral because one of the giants of comedy left this earth owing $3.6 million to the IRS. If you want to take a trip down memory lane with your favorite black celebrities, make sure you subscribe to our channel.